Hello, Capricorn. Welcome to your March 2023 astrology forecast. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late on these, but we're still getting them out before all the big hefty stuff comes in. Now, there are three big things happening mixed with a few other smaller things. So the biggest things, Pluto comes into Aquarius, Saturn moves into Pisces, and Mars comes into Cancer. Pluto and Mars are transitioning at the very end of March, the 23rd and the 25th. But we're going to still feel, I think by the end of March, as we're in Aries season, we're going to really feel like things are different, like that just the whole landscape, the whole astrological environment is different. So let's start with Saturn, because that's your ruling planet. Okay, now Saturn has been in rulership since 2018 when he came into Capricorn. All right, 2018, Saturn comes into Capricorn, and you have been in the hot seat really since then. There's been so much activity. We had Jupiter in 2020 in Capricorn. We had the nodes there. We had Pluto there. We had all sorts of stuff going on. And then when Saturn moved into Aquarius late 2020, you got a little bit of relief, but your ruling planet was still in rulership because he's still the ruler of Aquarius. So you weren't truly able to like fully escape that Saturnine quality. Not that we want to escape it. It's a big part of life and it's a very important aspect of life as well. But sometimes it does make things feel more like an uphill battle or more like an uphill struggle. And Saturn in Aquarius has been very, very strong. In fact, really since 2018, he has been one of the strongest planets in the whole chart. Now that obviously will vary on a daily basis, but generally speaking, especially his stint through Aquarius has kept him at the very, very top of the chart. So when he comes out of rulership, he comes into Pisces. Now what's happening from Aquarius, Pisces to Aries, remember Saturn is in fall in Aries. Okay, because he's in exaltation over here in Libra, he falls in Aries. So Pisces really is about a decline of Saturnine energy, and it's about becoming really, really strong and getting weaker and less prominent. And we do see that because the day that he moves into Pisces, he moves from like a plus 11 score, which is really high, boom, down to a plus 1, which is just kind of normal, regular. Okay, so he's really dropping down here. So what this is going to enable, really, or what this is going to do, it's going to kind of make things a little bit easier to a degree, okay, especially for you as an individual. As he activates your third house, there's going to be a deepened concentration for Capricorn to really go out and learn a lot of new things. There's been a lot of financial focus for Aquarius, Saturn through Aquarius for Capricorns. There's been a lot of financial focus here. There's been a lot of emphasis on how do I utilize and leverage my talents and my skills and my knowledge into something that I can build something really great with. Now, a lot of you have a lot to work with. You have a lot of life experience. You have a lot of talent. Maybe you even have a lot of resources. But Saturn through the second house is like, well, how do I truly leverage that? And I think what happened is a lot of Capricorn sort of explored, and they went out and they ventured out and they started learning new things. And some people decided, well, you know, I feel really comfortable in the area that I'm good at, and maybe I can use all this other stuff that I've learned, but I really want to stick to my core talents, and I don't want to veer too far off. So now with Saturn coming into the third house, we take that core talent and skill set and we start to really do something with it so that we can produce a lot more. We can produce more income, we can help more people, we can teach more people, we can reach more people, we can collaborate, we can do all sorts of really creative things. Now, the thing with Saturn coming into the third house is it really changes the way you think about stuff. And when we come into this transit, often we think we know a lot. We think, well, we're so smart, we're so intelligent, we're so da 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 da. And even though you may be humble, you still may feel like you have a really good grasp of your perspective of the world. But when Pluto traverses the third house over the next couple of years, you will notice that your way of thinking needs to change, and that can come through some pretty difficult experiences, difficult conversations with people. You may sit down with someone who has complete opposite viewpoints of you, and you may start to see truth in what they're saying, and you may start to be like, maybe there is something to that point of view. Maybe that perspective does make a little bit of sense. Maybe I should really reconsider X, Y, or Z. And, you become massively a different person with Saturn in the third house, because this affects the way you think. So you are officially beginning that journey. Now, the other big transit is Mars coming into Cancer. Now, Mars is the planet that is exalted in Capricorn, so this is super relevant for you. It's moving out of Gemini, where it's been since August, and there has been so much movement and transition and organization and getting things going here. But as soon as it moves into the 7th house, there's going to be more of an emphasis on working with other people. I think having Mars in the 7th, and that will carry over into April as well, plus Saturn in the 3rd house, Capricorn really needs to start opening themselves up to working with others, whether that's hiring employees or bringing on business partners, or again, creative partners, creative collaborators, whatever the case may be. But opening yourself up to more of a social setting, even romantically as well, putting yourself out there if you've been kind of holding back in that area. If you are already married, there are likely going to be some kind of changes that the partnership needs to go through in order to realign the focus and the vision of the relationship. And a lot of that is rooted in Capricorn's drive to take their talent set, their skills, and build something from that. So there's a lot of professional goals here and a lot of financial goals that are going to be highly activated. Now, this is also being complemented by Pluto coming into Aquarius. Now, remember, Pluto goes back and forth between Capricorn and Aquarius 2 different times. This is happening between now, March 23rd, when Pluto comes in, and the very end of 2024. So almost it's like 2 3/4 or 1 3/4 of a year back and forth with Pluto crossing between these 2 signs. Now, if you have planets at the very last degrees of Capricorn, you're going to feel this, but you're not alone. Everyone who's got a planet in Capricorn had some 5 or 6 year period of time where Pluto was seriously kicking their butt. It's just what Pluto does. Okay, Cancer went through it too. Now it's Aquarius and Leo's turn. We all go through it at some point in our lives. But Pluto comes in here, and he is going to completely shift focus from a sense of identity, a sense of development of self. There probably has been a lot of focus on who you are. And now this is shifting into money. Okay, money and a sense of self-worth, and leveraging that sense of self-worth into greater financial gain. Remember, money in this particular world, in this construct in which we live, is our means of survival. So it's not just money for the sake of, I'm so greedy, I gotta have money. It's not like that, right? Money enables us. Money is a symbol of freedom to some degree. I don't entirely agree with that, but you get the idea that money is really, really important in order for us to live the type of life that we want to live. And so Pluto brings extraordinary desire wherever he is. There's an extraordinary desire, but there's also there can be resistance to change here. Pluto, as it's connected to Scorpio, is somewhat preservationist to a degree. Now, it is all about change and transformation, but one of the reasons why sometimes the transformation that happens under the Plutonic banner can be so painful is because we are so scared of letting go. And this is where the fear component of Pluto comes in. We desperately want something. We desperately want to grow our financial world. And yet we are so desperately clinging on to the way that life used to be, because that's what we know, that's what we're comfortable with, and that's what we feel we can sustain. But Pluto is not about sustaining. It's not about conserving anything. Pluto generally can be a fantastic transit for people who are willing to completely let go and sacrifice. If you're willing to let something burn to the ground so you can build something new, then Pluto's the best thing ever, because you can embrace that and harness that and completely restructure and rebuild. See, one of the reasons why Pluto through the first can be so frustrating is because you want to have some sort of clearly defined sense of who you are, and yet Pluto won't let you. It's like, well, you say that you are this type of person, and yet you are also wanting that thing over there. So if you want that thing over there, then this entire self-concept needs to evolve. But if you're unwilling to evolve it, then I'm going to do it for you, because the desire is really where the manifestation comes from, and not necessarily always from the conscious will. It's when we can align the conscious will with the desire that Pluto becomes a express lane to the manifestation of our desires. People who are willing to let go do so well under the influence of Pluto. So when he comes into the second house, this is about what you want financially in your life. And this is about how you respect yourself and how you value yourself. And if you're someone who struggles with a sense of self-value, then you have a choice. You can either continue to feed into this notion of I'm not valuable and I don't respect myself and I don't show up for myself. And if that's the case, if that's what you're going to cling on to, but Pluto is desperately trying to get you to a place and into a life where you have to have self-value, he is going to shove down your throat really hard lessons about all the reasons why you have to value yourself. You have to. And he doesn't make it easy all the time, but he also forces transformations that are required for us to grow and to spiritually evolve. So the more you can embrace it, and even if you don't feel that value or feel that self-respect, if you can do the things that a self-respecting person would do, that is going to be massively beneficial for you, because as you familiarize yourself with the system of self-respect and self-value, it will slowly integrate and change you on a cellular, molecular, neurological level. It's a very slow process, but it is an incredible process nonetheless. And so this might be a case of like acting as though you are that person, even if it feels like a massive contradiction to some degree, okay? It's okay to be in contradiction when we're dealing with Pluto, because usually we're trying to go higher and bigger and better, and there's a part of us that just wants to crawl up in the fetal position and just stay safe. But there also is no safety in that either. That is an implosion. And I think if you're going to choose between a full-on implosion and an expansion, people would prefer the expansion, even if it's really uncomfortable. Okay? But this is happening for you in the realm of money. It may also impact your possessions. Like if some of you go through a period of time where you're like, I got to get rid of everything in this house and I got to refill it with new stuff. I got to get rid of this house and move to a new house. I got to get rid of this city and move to a new city. I got to get rid of this job and integrate a new job. Whatever the case is, this is about throwing things away that absolutely do not coincide with your ultimate vision of yourself. And you've had plenty of time with Pluto in the first to develop and manufacture an entire new concept, okay? So you're a different person now, whether you like it or not, and your world, your external materialistic world is going to have to start to reflect that, okay, for the sake of your progress, all right, Pluto through the second. Now, we talked about the big things coming through. Let's talk about some of the smaller things, okay? We've got this Mercury, Sun, Neptune conjunction happening here. Now, this particular conjunction, as I animate this, will go day by day here. You can kind of see here's Mercury coming together with the Sun, and we can kind of see that consolidation there. It's going to be happening March, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. Okay, and this is happening at the same time that Venus moves into Taurus as well. Venus officially moving into rulership, giving her some strength. Saturn is now lower, so Venus is scoring a little bit higher here than Saturn, which is always good. We also have a strengthened Jupiter at this particular moment in time as it comes off of that conjunction with Chiron. That Jupiter-Chiron conjunction, which really was beginning at the beginning of February, brought out a whole bunch of stuff. And in your fourth house, this is like really cleaning house for Capricorn in a healing way, okay? But it exposes so much. Some of you may have to have done a lot of inner child healing work, a lot of work regarding your parents and your relationships with your parents, your relationship with emotional safety and security, your relationship with stability and establishing roots. If any of you have ever struggled with those types of things, this is probably a time where there is no question in terms of what's really going on inside of you that has prevented you from finding security and stability in that way in adulthood. So you go back to that inner child, you go back to those original wounds and traumas, not for the sake of reliving it or making your life miserable by thinking about it, but more so illuminating it so you can heal from it. And kind of offering a lot of forgiveness and a lot of compassion, not only to yourself, but to everyone else involved, so that you can move on. Now, this conjunction does not happen every day. This is a very rare conjunction. And so the fact now that it is over means that the healing can truly begin. The buildup is for the exposure, and the separation of these planets is for to be able to see the actual effects from that conjunction. So over the next couple of months, as Jupiter makes his way closer and closer to Taurus, it will enter Taurus in mid-May, we're going to start to understand just exactly how healed we are. Now, maybe not from everything, but from enough things so that we can see some progress. I think right now, the astrology is really pushing us toward progress. It's not about analyzing. It's not about strategizing. It's not about contemplation or meditation. It's not about spirituality. This is about seeing actual progress in your life and seeing the needle moving in the right direction. We want to see profit. We want to see results. We want to have relationships that are real and tangible and committed, and we're wanting to, experience the reality of our manifestations now. And Jupiter plays a huge part in this, okay? Because Jupiter through Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces is so high level, and we can do the philosophy even through Sagittarius as well through 2019. We can do the philosophy thing. We can do the spirituality thing. We can meditate. We can contemplate. We can open our eyes to new philosophies and all sorts of things. But at a certain point, we have to start implementing. And that point is officially right now, Jupiter coming through Aries and no longer being influenced by Chiron. So Jupiter is being set free here. And as he moves his way into Taurus, we need something real to be able to show for it. And I do think having something to show for it is a big motivator and a big component of what's going on. So all of these big shifts, and especially Jupiter coming off Chiron here, it's like we know now that we have to go do something to show for it. Okay. It's not all talk anymore. It's not all just healing. It's not all therapy. It's not all meditation. It's real world stuff. And again, your relationships are going to help motivate this as well, especially as Mars. Now, if we look here, we still have like a lot of planets on one side of the nodes. Mars broke that Kalasarpa Yoga. Uranus is here as well, but we don't always technically count the outer planets. But as Venus makes her way to the other side this month as well, she comes into Taurus, she comes to the other side of the node. As she makes her way over, we're going to find more balance. Because when everything is so much on one side of the nodes, it's hard to find balance. And even Mercury is going to be retrograding here in Taurus. We'll be on the other side of the nodes as well. So we'll have the Sun, we'll have Mercury, we'll have Mars, we'll have Venus, all on one side of the nodes where all these other planets are over here. So we do have some semblance of balance. Like we're moving into a place where things feel a lot more put together. And that's something to be excited about and really grateful for, especially when we've just been so thrown against the wall in one direction. It's like a boat, right? That's like rocking and it boom hits a wave and all of a sudden everything goes to the other side and then boom to the other side. It's just been so dramatically unbalanced lately. And now we're starting to really feel that balance restore itself. And I think a lot of people are just going to start feeling better. And feeling more in control and feeling more like they have some sort of say in the way that things are going. So decisions matter, choices matter, actions matter. Okay? All right, Capricorn. Thank you so much. You guys know I love and adore you. I hope you have an amazing March, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.